main tasks for the majority of housing associations is tracking rent balances. Affinity makes this incredibly easy. Within the Tenancies tab of the Tenant View, we can define what rent is due from a tenant. This can be either on a weekly or a monthly basis. And in addition to the rent, we can also define additional recurring charges, such as a service charge in relation to refuge collection. So with this definition in place, Affinity will automatically apply this charge on the defined period, in this case a week. So every week it's going to charge this tenant €104.20. It's not something that we have to worry about. So what we do have to do is, when the tenant pays this rent, record it within the system. And we can do this within the bank area. So if we go to bank, select tenant transactions, identify our tenant instance, and you'll see that this defines some basic details associated with the tenant, including the recurring charge total. So hopefully they've paid the rent in full. We can just record that within the system, within this receipt total box. You'll see that it's automatically allocated to rent, and then simply submit receipt. That's all there is to it. If I was to go back to the tenant view, you'll see in the main tab that it's now highlighting that their rent is up to date. They have a zero balance. But perhaps we want to generate a statement for this tenant. Just go to the Statements tab. I can generate this statement over any specified date range. And I have the option of both generating a printable version of this, printing that out and posting it to the tenant, or to speed things up even further, I can email it to the tenant. So you'll see that these functions within Affinity are incredibly simple, but to speed things up even further, we can do things in bulk. So the first thing that we can do is, instead of recording rent receipts on an individual basis, we may want to import a file containing multiple rent receipts. And we can go back to the bank area, and you'll see that we have another option here to import payments. For tenant receipts, there are two file types that we can import. One is a CSV file. That's simply a format that you can go onto your online bank account. You can export transactions and then import them into Affinity. The other type is bill pay. Many of you will be familiar with this. This is the format used by Impost, and primarily that would be your household budget payments. But in this case, I'm just going to select CSV as the file type. Going to identify the payment file and then just click import payment. So you'll see that in a couple of seconds, I can have imported 26 or even thousands of rent receipts. The other thing that I can do in bulk here that I want to show you is generating those statements. So we can do this via tenants batch statements. So down at the bottom, this is a list of housing groups associated with a tenant. Again, I can generate statements over any specified date range. And I have a couple of formats here. I can either generate printable versions to post out to the tenants, or I can select an email format, and that will email each and every tenant with their statement. Here's batch statements that I've generated earlier. And if I just click on that, you'll see that Affinity has generated a statement for each and every tenant within this particular housing group. Again, hopefully you can see how Affinity can really speed up the process of tracking rent balances, generating statements.